BigCountryPreps.com. I'm Evan Wren, and this is the Capital Farm Credit Wednesday night podcast, our weekly look at the area athletic scene, what happened last week, and what's going on this week. I'm here with my partner, Dan Youngblood, via Zoom. And tonight we got a special guest, Dan. We've got Mindy Myers, the girls track coach from Haskell, joining us, and they're fresh off a regional championship where they swept the relays.
Yeah, this is Coach Myers' first year out there. She replaced a really successful coach in Missy Burson, and her team did a tremendous job, like you said, winning regional, sweeping the relays, and really continuing what's been a very strong tradition of track success on the girls' side out there. So it's going to be fun to talk to Coach Myers about that regional performance, about kind of her I guess goals and kind of what she's expecting from this state trip that'll be coming here in a couple of weeks. So but this is such a tremendous group of girls athletes at Haskell, has been for years now. And some of those girls are coming through as seniors now, but and some of them are younger. And it's just a really good blended mix of ages and athleticism. And she kind of inherited a strong program, and she's kept it going in a very positive direction.
It's a good group of girls that are accustomed to winning, and they've been successful at just about everything that they've done out there, actually. Before we jump into this week's show, we need to thank our primary sponsor, Capital Farm Credit, with offices all over Texas, including Stanford and Abilene. Buy your own slice of Texas with Capital Farm Credit. Together, we're better. All right, and with that, last week, we had, before we bring on Coach Myers, let's talk a little bit about what we had last week. We had a fun week last week. We got to see some great playoff softball action. We got to go to the Region 1 3A track meet here at ACU and Abilene. And let's rehash what we saw last week before we bring on Coach Myers. Let me start with this Breckenridge Bang series that I get to cover. I got to cover game 1 and game 3 of that by-district matchup in softball. And that was a fun by-district matchup, a well-played game, or well-played series with some impressive pitching. Chloe Whitmer, only a sophomore from Breckenridge, won 2 of the 3 games in that one. And she was faced with Abby Wolf, a southpaw freshman from Bangs, who is going to be very good. She's going to be very good. And I looked at that. Not only was it a good series, but I almost looked at it as a peek of the future. You know, as a peek at the future. These are some of the teams that are going to be going toe to toe over the next 2 years. They're both young teams with young, good pitchers. And Breckenridge, with them advancing, will be, Whitmer will be facing off with Josie Whitehead of Merkel, another ace, another young ace. She's only a sophomore. Another peek at the future. These are the teams that will be going toe to toe and button heads over the next few years. There's some other ones. Kahoma is another one that we have to throw in there, but it's fun to watch. We have a good future in softball over the next few years, no doubt.
Yeah, that's the thing that's crazy is you look throughout our area, how many of these girls that are really impact players are young players. You're talking about freshmen, sophomores, some juniors thrown in there. That we're going to keep a lot of the players we're watching this year are going to be back next year. And you mentioned Kahoma. That's who I was out there to watch their series against Wall, and they've got one of those, just a freshman phenom in Hannah Wells, who it was pretty interesting that basically Wall was giving her Barry Bonds treatment. She had eight plate appearances in that series. They walked her in 6 of them, several of those intentionally. On one of the 2 plate appearances at bat she actually got, she sent one over the fence in left center, but for her 16th home run of the season. So this is a girl that is putting up some monster numbers. She's also one of their top pitchers. She started in game 1 in that series before handing the ball off to the Calvio girl, who pitched a 1-hit shutout in the second game. But this Kahoma team is very good. It's young, but it's very, very good. And that's one that's going to be fun as well. You talk about that Breckenridge Merkel series. The winner of that will play the winner of Kahoma and Henrietta. And then if we get a Kahoma Merkel, Kahoma Breckenridge series, that's going to be another fun one. But this is there's a lot of talent in that 3A bracket from this area. I saw early, unfortunately, I saw them win game 1. Unfortunately, they lost to Henrietta in games 2 and 3 to drop that series. But they're another team with some good young talent there. But and just, I mean, you look up and down the big country, and that's kind of the case with a lot of these teams. We got a lot of these girls that are freshmen and sophomores contributing in a major way that are going to be good for years. Yes. So I mean, you watch these teams, a lot of times it is that peek into the future. And when you look a year or 2 down the road, it's going to be pretty crazy to think how good our softball could be.
Well, they're already good enough to where I would not be surprised to see us send a 3A team to Austin. I would not be surprised to see that. And Stanford, the defending 2A state champ, is already a regional favorite to return. So we could see a couple of teams down there this year. That is not, I would not be stunned at all to see that.
And we've still got Wiley playing in 5A. I don't know if they've had the it in them to go to make a state run, but that's a team that has this opportunity, I think, to play for several more rounds as well. So there's just a lot of talent from the small school level to the big school level in this area right now, and it's been a lot of fun to watch. We're seeing, I think I've talked about in the past. I think it is kind of a softball resurgence we're seeing right now, and I don't see any end in sight. The level of talent and level of commitment that these girls are putting in right now, I think is pretty impressive.
And let's not forget that baseball playoffs start this week. There's some teams that I like. There's some teams that you like. There's a lot of interesting possibilities out there. In 2A, you have to like Anson. You have to like, you can't discount Albany. In 3A, there's Brock, there's Jim Ned, there's Wall. And you like this early Longhorns team quite a bit, and with good reason. There's a lot of interesting possibilities. We should have some fun series in baseball.
Yeah, no question. And I think 3A, I'm excited about a lot of different baseball. I'm excited to see what Wiley can do at the 5A level. I'm excited to see if Stephenville can repeat the run they had last year. But I do think that when looking at the baseball, just the baseball scene on the whole, to me, that Region 1 3A bracket is always kind of that's one of my favorite things to pay attention to this time of year, because it's always so competitive, and our teams always play a role in deciding how that goes, whether they're sending a team to state or whether they're playing for that opportunity. We almost always have someone in the region final because we just have so much depth and quality at that level. And this year's no different. I think everybody kind of looks at Brock and Jim Nedden for good reason. Those two teams have been very good in recent years. They've got a lot of talent on the mound and at the plate. Wall is very, very good again this year. They actually beat Jim Ned the second time those two teams played in district to finish with the same district record in District 6 3A. So that Wall team is one to watch. And you mentioned him. I've been kind of super high on this early team for a couple of years now, and they're the one, I think, dark horse. I think people need to keep them on their radar. This is a very, very good early team. Last year, could have beaten Jim Ned in the playoffs, lost a really close, well-pitched game. This year, they gave Brock all they wanted during district play. This team is right there with those teams, and it'll be fun to see if maybe they can take that next step, get over that hump, and compete with the Walls, with the Brocks, with the Jim Neds, and maybe I think they have the talent, particularly on the mound, that you really need two really good pitchers, and they've got those to make that type of run. And I'm interested to see. I think they have the talent. If things were to play out right, they could be a team that got out of this region. But there's a lot of competition there, and it's going to be fun to watch.
What makes early particularly dangerous is that they don't have the reputation yet of a Jim Ned or a Brock or a Wall. They don't have, a Shallow Water or whoever. They don't have that reputation yet. Yeah. People hear early, they think, well, okay, they're good, but they don't understand just how good they are yet, and that makes them dangerous. You might hook up with them in a 3-game series and find yourself down one pretty quick, and then you're in trouble. And that's a dangerous team.
And they've got those, I think, to make a really deep run at that level, I think you need to basically have a couple of co-aces who can go out there and dominate a playoff game. And they've got that. So does Jim Ned, obviously, when you look at the pitching they've got. So does Brock, obviously. They've got a really deep pitching staff. And then Wall's always, they always got great pitching as well. But I think early is the one team that may not be on folks' radar that is at that level. And I think they'll show that during the playoffs. It'll be a lot of fun to watch.
All right. We both went out to the Region 1 3A track meet at ACU. We both had a good time out there, as always. And we both got to see on our individual days out there. I was on day 1. You were on day 2. We got to see some special performances. On day 1, I got to see Nathan Jones of Brock with a shot put performance of the ages, set a regional record through it 63 feet and change, and broke the regional record on his first throw, and then proceeded to break it like 3 more times, his own record that he just kept breaking. In fact, his last throw was like 63 and change. I've photographed shot put for years, and you always, obviously you don't want to get hit with a shot put, so you give yourself plenty of room, right? You're beyond that final arc, and you give yourself plenty of room so you don't get clocked by a shot put. I was out there well beyond the final arc when he threw that record breaker. I've never seen a kid throw a shot put so far that it rolled by me out there. Had it been right on me, I would have had to move out of the way. It rolled the thing beyond me, and I was well beyond the final arc. It was an incredible throw. Nathan is definitely going to be right up there, as the threat to win the state championship in shot put for sure.
Yeah, and he followed that the following day with a personal best and first place throwing the discus as well. So he'll be headed to state in both of those events. But I thought his performance was kind of reminiscent of what we saw from Tate Williams from Wall last year. Another big kid who's a really good athlete, multi-sport athlete. Went to the regional meet and had just his best meet ever. But yeah, Nathan was able to do the same thing. It was fun. I actually got to talk to him after the meet because the Brock boys won their second straight region title. So I got to talk to him about just kind of the establishing that tradition, because it's interesting that the Brock boys track was kind of the one boys sport where they weren't just super dominant in. And then obviously that's changed. Last year they won their first region championship, followed that with their first state championship, and then repeated as the region champs again. But just a lot of fun at the track meet. And like you said, we both saw special performances. You mentioned Nathan Jones, and I can't talk about what I saw without mentioning Merkel's Alyssa O'Malley, who just had, like you said, a meet for the ages. She won 4 individual gold medals. Following the high jump gold she won on the first day by winning the pole vault and then sweeping both the hurdles races. So just a tremendous effort by her. And it
With
was
a stress
really
fracture
fun
in
to
her
see.
foot.
Yeah, it's crazy.
With a stress fracture. And
Yeah.
she wins in 4 individual golds. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And she's playing through that much pain. That's one of the most memorable performances that we've had in a regional meet, considering what she's going up against.
Yeah, it was really cool to see, because you could just kind of see that joy on her face and just how much fun she was having out there, which was really awesome, because she's kind of had a little bit of a tumultuous go the last couple of years in track. Had some injuries last year. Obviously had COVID shut down the season 2 years ago. So she's been wanting to get to Austin and want to have that type of regional performance. And boy, did she ever have that over the weekend. 4 gold medals. She's heading to Austin in all 4 events. Really cool story, I thought. And one of many. At least there were several others also. You talk about the Breckenridge boys track team. They got some really fast kids on the track. When you talk about Chase Lair, who was a two-time medalist. He won gold in the 800 and medaled in the 1600. The Cooksey kid, the Ruiz kid, both went second in the 100 and 200 respectively, finishing only behind a kid who's committed to Texas football, who's just a speed burner. He's a region record holder. But it was fun seeing Breckenridge finished directly behind Brock in the team standings. They finished as the team runners up, and that was fun to see. This Breckenridge team's really young too. They're basically return everything next year, so that's one to watch. But there were several of those types of stories. It was a lot of fun to see them out on the track. And regional track meets are always so much fun just because it goes so fast. You basically have the girls event, the boys event, and it's one event after another, and you condense a whole lot of track into a very short period of time, and you get to see a lot of really good athletes do a lot of really special things, and that was certainly the case over the weekend.
All right, before we bring on Haskell girls track coach Mindy Myers, we need to thank our sponsors. First and foremost, Capital Farm Credit, who brings you these Wednesday night podcasts throughout the school year. Also, for the love of the game broadcasting, and our old friend Terry Slavens, owner of K-Lakes 93.5 FM out of Breckenridge, KATX 97.7 FM out of Eastland, Classic Country AM 1330 out of Graham, 94.7 FM KWKQ out of Graham, KDAR 1430 AM out of Breckenridge, and KWBY 98.5 FM out of Ranger. That is for the love of the game broadcasting. Also, Rob Durham, sales consultant at Bear Chevrolet Buick Cadillac up in Breckenridge. If you're in the market for a vehicle, new or used, give Rob a call. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever want to meet. Give him a shout at 254-559-2266. That's Rob Durham up at Bear Chevrolet Buick Cadillac in Breckenridge. And finally, Phil Hill of the Abilene Realtors Group, big supporter of local athletics. If you're in the market, give him a shout at 325-669-5153 or visit his website at philhillproperties.com. And with that, it's just about time to bring on Coach Myers from Haskell. And she was in a unique situation. She's already successful up at Vernon. She came to Haskell, where they handed her the keys to a Ferrari, basically a team that had already sent relay teams to state and had done well, been on the podium. And she tweaked this and tweaked that, and they're just as good, if not better than they were last year. Here they go to state again in 3 different relay events as regional team champions.
Yeah, and we mentioned the 1-3A meet that we attended. I'm going to plug the site real quick. We have roundups from each of the other region meets, and we had a lot of really strong performances throughout the area, so make sure you check those out. But Haskell was definitely one of those, so it's going to be neat to talk to Coach Myers about what her team was able to accomplish, because I do think that's one of the more interesting stories, because that can be a really stressful situation. That can be kind of a pressure-packed situation when you are following a successful coach, inheriting a strong program,
Yes.
and you know that there's a high level of expectation for you to, kind of keep that thing going. And Coach Myers embraced that challenge and did it. I mean, you look at what they've done this year. They've not taken any sort of step back at all. They're going down to state this year with hoping to even build on what they did last year. They were runners up last year. They want to win a championship this year, and I think they've got that ability. So it's gonna be fun talking to Coach Myers about that and just about just the team she has, about what they were able to do at regional meet, and kind of the goals they have at state. So I'm excited to talk to her, and it looks like she's about ready to join us. So let's go ahead and get her on.
And joining us now from Haskell, girls track coach Mindy Myers. Coach, thank you very much for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Coach, just had a fabulous regional performance from your girls. Can you kind of recap that, and just what are your thoughts on the team's effort?
This is the second time I've had a track team that's won regional, but I have to say that going into this one, everyone on the team was very confident. They knew their roles. They knew where we had to have points from, and they stepped up and performed. We ran our best times in all 3 relays on either the first day or the second day, depending, but they were ready. And it's a great group to coach because they're so competitive.
One of the fun things about track is that you really never know. I mean, it is a matter of how you perform on that day. Were there any surprises or did anything just really jump out off the page and kind of impress you a little bit in that meet?
Yes, we had a bad handoff on our 4x1 on day 2. And my third leg, senior Brittany Andrews, just really lit it up. And it was fun to watch. And we video, of course, our races, and to see it in action, after you replay it a couple of times, it was really amazing. And then our mile relay went from a 4:06 to a 4:03. And of course, that was fun because we really weren't pushed that much. I think the next fastest time was maybe 4 seconds, which is quite a bit in the mile relay. So.
And that's one of the things, I mean, you look at what Haskell's done the past several years, and it's kind of been, those relays have been really strong for you guys. What does that say about just the depth of this program when you can put together those types of relays year after year after year?
I think that Coach Burson, who was at Haskell before I did, she did an outstanding job of building that foundation, of creating the want to of the relays. The kids battle for that spot. They work for it. And we have a lot of leaders, and we have senior leaders, sophomore leaders, and I've changed them up a little bit. I have a new leg on the 4x4, and the other 2 are basically the same, a little bit different order, but it's nice to have those options of having other kids who could step up and run if needed. And so it's been a unique situation for me because I came from really small schools before, and you had what you had, but at Haskell you do have more options.
Coach, the people that have never run a relay, I don't know that they fully appreciate just how difficult those exchanges are, and what a challenge they are, and how much work you have to put into it. Can you describe it to the people out there that have never done this? You should make it look a lot easier than it is.
Yes, and that is a true statement. And there are so many variables on a relay exchange. And now that they've taken out the international mark, the playroom is what I call it, on which legs run the longest. And it really helps your handoffs, because you may not take a handoff person in the line next to you because I have my steps counted off differently. Personally, I like that because I have, of course, my faster legs running a longer leg. And so it is a lot of work. It's very nerve-wracking. There were a lot of people in the stands at Springtown, and you have to really be focused on your person coming in and not on the 2 lanes beside you or people yelling, whatever's going on. And it takes a lot of work. And you have to know your teammates, and Friday, the wind was blowing so hard. And luckily, my 2 strongest built kids, were running into the wind. But I would tell the people receiving it, you remember, they just ran hard into the wind. And, and so I try to preach that about knowing your teammates so you don't take off too fast, especially on bad weather days.
And Coach, you mentioned Coach Burson. Obviously, you inherited a strong program from a successful coach. Just how important was it for you to kind of maintain the level of success that Haskell had enjoyed in the recent past?
I felt a little bit of pressure. I did. Now I've been in this situation somewhat before, having won myself in high school 3 team state championships as an athlete. But it's nice to inherit it, but you always get the comments, well, Coach Burson did it this way, and that never bothers me because, and I finally convinced him there's more than one way to do this. And actually, during cross country season, I had a lot of buy-in, and a lot of kids stepped up and did good things for us, making it to state as a team for the first time. And I think that helped carry over into track, that they knew, okay, she's different. She's going to do it a little different, but we're still going to get the same result. And so that's really, it's helped.
Coach, this is a very good group of athletes that is moving through Haskell at the present time. Girls athletes, and they've been successful at just about anything they've done. What was your impression when you got there of the overall athleticism for a 2A? You had a lot of depth.
I do, and it was, I guess, the easiest way to say it. It's really surprising because, like you said, these aren't normal 2A athletes. They're very well conditioned. They're very well trained. They're dedicated. They're willing to do work on their own. But even their physique, you can tell that they've lifted weights, that they've been put through good programs. And it's kind of neat when it all comes together and they're all in the high school at the same time. But yes, definitely, when I saw them, I was like, whoa, these aren't your normal high school girls for a 2A school.
All right, Coach, last year they had a great performance at state, but how much did they take from that as maybe raising the bar and using it as motivation to be even better this year?
I think that it really motivated them. They're very humble, but at the same time, they're very hungry. And when you talk about raising the bar, they have, and they've stepped up. They tell me my workouts are, to quote Emma Rowe, my workouts are awful. And she went back and clarified that to me. She
Emma's always been bashful, hasn't she?
Yes.
Always been bashful.
Yes. And she's like, no, Coach Myers, I meant in a good way, I promise. But they're hungry. They want it. And so I don't have to push them near like you do some kids, and when they step on that track, they're excited every day. We have fun at track practice. Now they're going to say not every day. And today it was a hot one. So, and some of these windy days haven't been as fun, but they're just, I think that the experience at state last year, finishing second, has ignited a fire in them to do even better. And every week they want to know, well, what did Panhandle do? Well, what did, and they're keeping up with it. They know what they have to do to achieve that top spot.
And along those lines, that actually leads me to the next question. When you do get as close as they did last year, finishing second, obviously, is it something where when you go down there, it's more of a business trip? I know a lot of kids, state's such a big deal. It's such a huge experience. Do you feel like your girls are kind of going down there on a mission?
Without a doubt. From the time I got to Haskell, I would tell them anytime we went to a cross country meet, whatever, hey, I didn't come here to get second place. And they always laugh at me. They think, oh, she's being funny, but they've quickly figured out I'm not being funny. And, and before we left to regional, I was like, do not ask me to go to the swimming pool. Do not ask me to stop at Starbucks. I went through this list of things and they're like, wow, Coach Myers. And I'm like, we're here to win. We're not here to play. I said, come May 14th, I'll take you to Starbucks and you can come swim at my pool. But we're not doing that stuff till then. We're here to win. And they're into that. They want to win. And so they kind of understand, my thought process, and I'm very organized on how we're going to do things, where we're going to stop going to Austin to work out, when phones are going to be up, all that. And we work out the day of the meet. I mean, I get them up early. They played softball, as you well know, Thursday, 8 innings. And Savannah's my fastest leg on all 3 relays, and she pitched all 8 innings. Well, I had them up Friday morning, and I made them work out to get some of the soreness out. And that's just the way we roll, and they know it, and they're prepared for it, mentally and physically.
Okay. And I guess you kind of come at this from a unique perspective, having the experience you do with the state track meet. But just for those who haven't competed there or taken an athlete to compete there, what is that experience like? Is that something that as a coach is stressful? Is it enjoyable? How would you describe just the entire experience?
It's both. I've been telling my assistant, she's young, and I tell her this is the best time of the year. I mean, I'm so excited every morning when I wake up. I don't know what to do. I'm so ready to get to track practice. State track meet, I love the experience of introducing my athletes to the atmosphere. I know a lot of people there. I work the state track meet every year. I'm working it this year as an official. And so a lot of times my athletes get a little bit different perspective because I'm allowed to do that. But it's nerve-wracking because there's a lot of pressure. And this year, I've already figured out scores and all that, and I'm not going into it. But that being said, we know if we take care of business, everything's going to be okay. And that's what the girls all day today, when they would come in and out of my classroom, it was like, we're going to take care of business, and the one bad handoff, they were like, it will be fixed. It will be fixed. And so that makes my job easier, but I am definitely a type A personality. And so I do get pretty stressed. I just try not to let the kids know.
Coach, along those lines, how do you keep, I mean, you're going to keep that under wraps. You're going to keep the stress level under wraps, because if you let the kids see it, you can freak them out. So how difficult is that in this stress-filled environment that you're going into?
Hey, I'm an old coach. You got to remember that. And so I take it from the standpoint of having fun, and I really try to get them excited. I do crazy stuff. I talk trash to them, hey, when you get out on the track, stare them down. It'll scare them, and they think I'm crazy because I'm old. And so we just have fun with it. And I think in a lot of ways it helps because they see that I'm relaxed. And so when I go up to my relays, I'm singing, I'm so excited. And they're like, oh my God, A, she can't sing, B, she can't dance, but she's having fun. And I think it just makes it a little bit more relaxed. And then when I talk to them, I say, hey, we got to get the baton around. That's all we got to do. Because if we get the baton around, we're going to win. And so it's a little bit of both of, the fun side, but hey, this is what we're going to do. And they've stepped up and responded well to it.
Coach, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time, and best of luck in Austin. We'll be keeping an eye on you.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you. I hope we make the big country extremely proud.
I'm sure you will.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Good luck.
All right. Thank you.
And that was Haskell girls track coach Mindy Myers. I'm very excited for Haskell. I'm interested to see how they do down in Austin. I'm sure if they execute their handoffs, they're going to do quite well.
Yeah, and you can tell that it's a business trip for those girls and for their coach. They're going down there to win. And I really enjoyed talking to Coach Myers. That's an old school coach, and you can tell that she's got high expectations for her team, but at the same time, clearly they have a lot of fun with what they're doing as well. So it will be a lot of fun to follow this Haskell team, as well as all of our area athletes. We're going to have a really big contingent, as we always do at
Huge.
state. And it's going to be fun to see how those kids do. This is always a fun time of year. And it was really neat to get Coach Myers on. It was a fun conversation.
All right. With that, it's just about time to wrap up our Capital Farm Credit Wednesday night podcast. But before we do that, we want to remind you that we've got 3 separate subscription packages here at bigcountrypreps.com. We've got a $5 monthly subscription. We have a semi-annual 6-month subscription where you knock that price down to $4 a month. And then we've got an annual 12-month subscription where we knock that price down to $3 a month, a full year of Big Country High School athletic coverage for $36.
We'd also like to remind you that if you ever see a photo you like in any one of our galleries, those are available for purchase. You can purchase a digital download for $7, and we also have some prints and keepsakes available as well. So make sure you check those out. As you're scrolling through the site, you'll notice pretty quickly that we take a lot of photos from these events we're at. It's something we really enjoy doing and something we are very proud of here at bigcountrypreps.com.
All Big Country, all high school, all the time. Welcome home.